Back over here, we got our ignition switch and a giant washer to make it secure. We got our horn button now. And here's our ignition. You can see when I turn it to the run position, that fuel gauge fires off. Let's see. There we go. I got these valve covers wedging the brake pedal down. And I managed to make the brake lights come out where the little bow tie is. So that should be cute. Anyway. Hey everyone, Rusty back with the electrical on this C10. What I was able to do is get everything working except for the brake lights. And the way we did that was, I'll just give you a short recap here. We rewired the running lights, and then I did some rewiring to the headlights, which we'll replace with LEDs later, so I'm not so concerned about that thinner wire. The wires go along inside here. So that all works. Then I discovered there was a problem inside where the running lights would not stay running. So what I'm going to do is those running lights are just going to come on whenever the ignition is on. So I'm going to run that through the ignition switch, and that should solve our problem. So I'm going to go ahead and get all that turned on for you and start the vehicle, and I'll show you how that looks in a second. All right, I got it running. I got this wire running temporarily up from the switch to the ignition side. Also, I noticed that there's a fuse part is missing and broken out for the actual, what looks like stoplights, and something's plugged in here. I don't know if that's going to the stoplights or not. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Anyways, let me show you. No lights are turned on, but with that light running through the ignition, these front lights will always be on. It's not a big deal. We could change them easily enough when they wear out. The rear ones are not on. It's not illegal. And if I go ahead and pull this to the running light position, one notch out, there we go, we got a tail light. That one's so dim it's hard to tell, but it works. We got another one on. And of course these lights are still on. They're powered independently now. Now I'm going to show you the turn signals. Okay, that's a right turn signal. We got a right turn signal indicated. Right turn signal indicated. Gonna get the left turn signal. Left turn signal indicated. Can you see that? It's not as bright as the other one for some reason. That light bulb might be in there backwards. Left turn signal. Now we're going to turn the headlights on. This should be low beams. The headlights are on. The tail lights are still on. This is not flashing. Headlights not flashing. Headlights not flashing. Turn signal is flashing. Now we're going to go to the right turn signal. Tail light is running. Right turn signal. Okay, right turn signal. Headlight, headlight, running light. It's on. One more time around the truck. Go into high beams. We got the indicator on the dash for high beams. And the indicator indicator for turn signal. Tail light, right turn signal and running light. Right turn signal, headlight, headlight, running light. Now we'll go in reverse just to switch it up. Okay, left turn signal indicated, head high beams. Go, left turn signal, headlight. The headlights are not dimming, they're staying on. Turn signal is not on, just a running light. And running light. And turn signal. Whew, that was a lot of work. So now all I gotta do is get the brake lights to fire off whenever you press the brake pedal, and I'll figure out what's going on with that fuse box, whatever you want to call it. And we're gonna get this thing moving. I will hope to get on the road soon. I still need to change the spark plugs and install the ignition switch as well. And we're gonna put the ignition switch right in this hole where the old one used to be. And what I'll do is I'll modify this start button to be now the horn button. So we're not ripping up the dash any more than we have to. I don't know who did this, that's a shame. But what's done is done. And then we have this other big hole in the dash, which is where our radio will go. So I'll bring you back once I have some stuff taken care of here. Until then, I'm just gonna be working on it. All right, I got this horn to install, so figured I'd bring you in for that. I'm gonna bend this bracket a little bit so that this isn't too close to the bulkhead, so to speak. Or maybe I can bend it this, no, it won't work that way. I need to put like a S bend into it. So let's see if we can make that happen without destroying it or something terribly. Let's see. Gonna bend that direction. Can I do the rest by hand? It's not very thick metal actually. And then this, I could have just drug that out further, but I wasn't thinking like that. So I'm gonna put another bend to it. Alright, I think something like this will work just fine. Now I can access the back part to get to the horn, and it's going to echo underneath here and be loud as hell. So I'm not worried about that. I'm going to go ahead and put a self-tapper through it and call it done, man. We'll come back for the wiring later. There you go. That's why people use those things. So I hope there isn't too much glare. You can see that went in. We're going to go ahead and get the gas tank kind of semi-mounted up as well. Now I'm gonna buy a nicer gas tank, but just to get us legal, you know, I need to have a gas tank to drive me to the car inspection. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run this one down into these little supports. This bed is gonna be expanded metal when I'm done with it. So if you don't like it, buy your own and do it however you want, because this baby is mine and I'll do what I want. Yeah, that's gonna work just fine right there. And there's a washer on this one, so we'll start with that one. Almost, oh, there it went. Almost lost my bit is what I was gonna say. So I got to get this one on there. Got to come back with a washer. get my bit off the ground. Then we'll have a little 5-gallon gas tank. Yeah. The reason I'm doing these little odds and ends right now is so I can figure out what I need next time I go to the auto parts, because I'm going to need some kind of line to run this gas tank to the main lines. Maybe. Can't say for certain until I do it. Well, there we go. Good enough. It's not going to just fall out. Moving right along, that old starter button that was in the dash up here is now my horn button. And we got the ignition switch all wired up. So let me try to get this camera in a place that'll stay. All right. So these wires, I don't know what they go to, but they were to take power, but they don't seem to do anything important for the running of the vehicle. So this would be accessory, nothing's plugged in. This will be the run position, and this will be start. There you go. We're starting, we're running. Horn's gonna work. We got windshield wipers. Okay. We got a heater control. I don't know if you can see that, but the heater works. We got our gauges working, the fuel gauge. I'll try to hook it to that little gas tank and see if it's accurate. I know the speedometer doesn't work. We're making a lot of amps charging. And we got water temperature. Now, just with the ignition running, should only be those 2 lights up here on. Yeah, so that light's on and that light's on, and I'm okay with that. That's not too weird. Turn signals still indicating. None of that was messed with. Headlights. Turn everything off. So now I should be able to turn the key off and it should turn off. Nice. All right, I'm going to get everything taped up so that there's no exposed, hot wires like on the horn. And then we're gonna move towards looking at what's wrong with the brakes. And as far as the brakes, there's a brake switch is like hidden way up in here, I think. And if I have to, I'll just put something on the outside here. It's a little more accessible. But I imagine either the brake switch is bad or it's not powered or something. So we'll figure that out. This seems to come from the turn signal and plugs in here. I'm thinking the brakes might plug into these because it lets it know which signal is on, so that it's not trying to make that light up as a brake light, because then your signals wouldn't work when your brakes are on. I'm just guessing here. So I'll get back to you. This is going to be all buttoned up and I'll be messing with the brakes. Back over here, we got our ignition switch and a giant washer to make it secure. We got our horn button now. And here's our ignition. You can see when I turn it to the run position, that fuel gauge fires off. Let's see. There we go. Should just be those 2 lights working in the front still. And if that's so, then we got that done right. Yeah, that light's on. That light's on. That alternator wasn't charging until you rev it up, apparently. Typical GM stuff. So next up, I'm gonna have to turn it off, but I checked the continuity of this brake switch and it's good. So I just have to trace the wiring and find out why it's not making it to the brakes. But the switch is good. So that's good, because then I don't have to remove it. So I'll show you that. Let's see if I can find you a good vantage point. All right, down here is where I can probe the switch, and I got my continuity tester going. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the brakes and see. See? Hitting the brakes, off the brake. They're a little bit loose in there. There you go. Yeah, definitely working. So I don't need to mess with that switch anymore. I just need to trace these wires and see what's happening, where they're going, and what they're doing and how they're doing it. But we'll get it figured out. Okay, that white wire comes off of that switch, and this is the wire that the power comes through, and it goes up to the switch. I thought maybe I'd get lucky and just plug it to that wire since it's the only one that doesn't have anything going on, but no such luck. So what I did do was I found the wire that goes back there, which needs to be replaced because it's all oily and cracked up and destroyed. So I need to get another roll of wire. But what I did do was I discovered that I could just put power to it, simulating coming from the brake pedal, of course, power to it, and then the right rear brake light would come on and the turn signal would still work. So I'm gonna rig that up real quick, show you what I'm got going on and the little problem I have. Okay, so let's pretend our brakes are on, right? There we go. We got a light and we got a light. All right, I made sure it had a good ground because when I pulled that housing out, you can see that someone had been in there and stripped wires and did stuff. Well, I think the problem here is that they wired it the wrong way, much like the ones in the front. So if I turn the turn signal on, you'll see it stays lit and also flashes. That's because it's being overridden, right? This one stays lit. If we were to turn that off, that light would still be lit up. But whenever I hit the left turn signal, it doesn't work. And I think what's happening is we're using the wrong part of the bulb. I can see that they wired it themselves. So I think they have the wires patched in incorrectly. That's the best I can come up with. So I'm going to take the other one off and see if I can't rearrange the wiring and make it light up the bright side, not the dim side, for the brakes. And then I'll be back with you on that. Hopefully that'll be the end of the wiring for the lights. All right, we got the left turn signal on, and just as I suspected, we're flashing the dim filament, right? There's a dimmer and a brighter filament, and we're flashing the thin dim one. And I'll show you on the right side. See, I can turn the lights on, but if I turn the lights on, it just puts power to the dim one like it's supposed to. And on this side, power to the dim one. But if I turn the turn signal on to the left, well, it's already got power to the dim one, so it's interrupting the turn signal. But if I turn the turn signal to the right, you'll see it's the bright one that's flashing and the dim one is staying lit, right? You see the top one is the dim one and the bottom one's the bright one. Whereas over here, the one more to the right is the dim one and the one to the left is the bright one. So if I turn these lights off and I do a left turn signal, it'll flash, but it's only flashing the dim filament, not the bright filament. So this wiring is wrong right here. Or possibly down, where was it? Down here where they patched the wiring in, they probably just did it backwards. And it might have worked. You know, he might have thought everything was good to go, but it wasn't. He had a brake light that was never going to work. So we just need to swap those around, and I think that'll be that. But we won't know until we test it. Okay, I had to do something a little bit different. I went ahead and installed a second light just to make things easier than trying to hunt down these wiring issues and problems with the turn signal. So now it's going to light up like that when we hit the brake light. Should be sufficient. If not, I can always put a brighter light in there later. And these are little LEDs. I'll show you. Just a little LED. It should work. So that's what I'm going to do. These lights are tiny to begin with, so I don't think anyone's going to, you know, say anything when I try to get it inspected. But so that's how I'm going to put them together, because I don't want to be wasting days and days trying to sort out this problem. I'm just going to wipe it clean and keep going. All right, I got the spark plugs changed. Here is the spark plugs from the passenger side. So these three are running pretty clean. This one is dirty, and the other four on this side were dirty. Now I don't know if those other ones started out dirty and they got clean because we've been running it. Maybe the seals came around, what have you. The rings, I should say, and the valve guides. But in any event, we got the spark plugs changed. So now all I have to do is run a new fuel line from that fuel tank in the bed, and then I should be good to go to get the thing inspected at least. Oh, I need to change the heater hoses. They're quite old and brittle and probably would blow up on me on the ride. So I need to take these off, and then I need to calculate how much fuel line I need to buy and go back to the store and get that stuff so I can hit it real easy in the morning. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and fire this thing up, and let's see if it smokes as bad as before. We'll fire it up and then we'll check the lights out. I still need to change that license plate light. I got a newer one. Need to retune it with those new spark plugs, but it only smokes for a second. I got these valve covers wedging the brake pedal down, and I managed to make the brake lights come out where the little bow tie is, so that should be cute. Anyways, the brakes are working. And you can see I still got more wiring to button up here, but we got it all kind of haphazardly working. So I'm going to go ahead and release the brake, fire up the engine, and go from there. Still need to do those spark plugs. Anyways, motor's running. Smoking like usual, no lights on the tail. Should have those running lights in the front on. Yep, running lights, it's the dim ones. Let me go ahead and bump the gas so it'll start charging. See, we're not charging anything right now. Yeah, we're cooking. So, we're gonna do the turn signals. Ah, see, we got the bright one flashing now instead of a dim one. Same thing over here, bright one flashing. Gonna get the left turn signal. Left turn signal, flashing the bright one. Left turn signal, okay. Just in case you're wondering, the brakes are completely independent, so I can depress the brake lights and everything's gonna keep working. See, now we got the brake light down here and the turn signal going, and the brake light on the other side, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and turn on the headlights and the running lights and the right turn signal. Brakes, running light, brake, turn signal. Turn signal, headlight, headlight, running light. It's all working like it should. So I'm going to go ahead and fix all this wiring. I don't know if you can see this wire just hanging here. I'm gonna fix all this wiring and that's gonna be it for tonight. But hey, thanks for watching. Wiring's nobody's friend. I hate doing it. The previous guy seemed to think that you could just ground any wire you want. We had multiple grounds, old broken wires, tail lights that are wired wrong so that the running light is the turn signal and the turn signal is the running light. But we got it sorted out. Yeah, I did a lot of extra wiring myself, but I'm going to clean it all up and it's going to be something that lasts the test of time, hopefully. Looking pretty good. Thanks for watching.